let's take a break from the story for a
Okay,
bit.
there's too much story talk in this podcast. We're always too much on track. There's never any flexibility. We're always on topic.
If there's one thing people know about us, it's that we always stay on topic.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about Sex and the City.
Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to I Hate Your Movie. This is a podcast where me and my friend Rick, we inflict movies upon each other for your entertainment. I'm here with my friend Rick,
Hello.
and this week, it was my pick, and we watched Children of Men, which is a 2006, what did I call it?
Film.
Brit-Pocalypse.
Oh, Brit-Pocalypse.
Brit-Pocalypse, countering your 28 Days Later. Brit-Pocalypse, directed by Alfonso Cuarón, who's known from Gravity and Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry Potter. The only Harry Potter film that looks good. And it stars Owen Wilson, Julianne Moore, Chiwetel Ejiofor,
And Michael Caine.
Michael Caine, yeah. How can I forget his great performance in this? So, it is a post-apocalyptic movie. It's taking place in 2027 Britain.
Yep.
The whole conceit of the movie is that for 18 years there hasn't been no new births. So, no new humans born over 18 years. The movie explores how this changes the world and kind of goes into the politics and that kind of stuff. So, Rick, what did you think of Children of Men?
Would you like my one-sentence review?
Please do.
My, what is soon to be the most unpopular ever one-sentence review. This film is proof that as long as you've got a great ending to a film, it really doesn't matter how you start things off. Let me just explain that for a bit.
Yeah.
Everyone who remembers this film is going to remember it fondly. Because I remember it fondly. And it's only through reading my notes that I remembered the start of this film. And everything in the start of this film is just, visually it's incredible.
Yeah.
But like the dialogue and how it's delivered at the start of this film, it's just, all I hear is like, you know that wooden instrument, it's like the wood block. That's what it sounds like to me, because the dialogue between Julianne Moore, Clive Owen in this is just, it's completely unnatural. Kind of monotone, it's one-dimensional, it's no more interesting than...
Okay. Well, it's supposed to be monotone a bit, because the whole theme of this movie for me is like about hope. And at the beginning, it shows a completely hopeless world. There's no future whatsoever. Clive Owen's supposed to be, I kept imagining him as Constantine. He's like smoking cigarettes, like, oh yeah, I don't care about this world.
Okay.
I don't have any more things to contribute. I've used to be a good activist, but I don't care anymore. I'm too cool.
If you just watch like the first 20 minutes of this film again and just try and consider, are these things people would actually say to each other? I don't think the answer.
Do you have
would
an
be yes.
example?
I do have a few. I kind of want to get into it before I go into it.
Okay.
So the film starts off, and again, exactly the same as 28 Days Later. There's loads of stuff I can go along with in this film. I can understand the post-apocalyptic nature. I can understand kind of how the world would give up hope if there was no children in it. It sounds fantastic, by the way, but we'll get into that later. I can believe all of that stuff. The ministries of things straight out of 1984. I get it all. But this film starts off with Clive Owen walking into a coffee shop, walking straight up to the counter, grabbing his coffee and being like, there you go. Not in a million years. Never, ever, ever happened.
He did that through the app. And then he got it. It's like click and collect. I thought you were going to talk about the explosion, because he walks out and then the explosion.
Yeah, and then
there's a
coffee shop
terrorist.
explodes.
Yeah, there's a terrorist explosion. 2
weeks after the London bombings. I think they should probably maybe stop making these Brit-Pocalypse films.
Because it's too real.
Yeah. What was it, 28 Days Later? We're like...
Manchester.
Manchester. They filmed all of the missing posters. He was walking around London, filming all the missing posters on the same day as 9/11. And now this was 2 weeks before the London bombings.
Yeah, there's lots of weird things they got right, accidentally. Can I list some of those quickly?
Only if I can as well.
Okay, my favourite one. 2006. Just imagine a 2006 car.
Oh yeah, I've got a note about this.
Yeah.
That this is one of the only films I've ever seen to correctly predict the level of technology
In Cars, at least.
in cars and just in general.
In Cars, particularly, I think. But yeah, it's the reverse dash cam,
Yep.
which was not a thing in 2006.
Reverse dash cam. He's got like maps on the screen on his window.
Yeah, the only thing was that it's displayed on the windscreen, but that's totally believable.
It's still 3 years. That could happen. In
That
three-
could
in the next
happen,
3
yeah.
years.
What's impressive about the reverse dash cam is that it's already in an incredibly difficult scene to film, you know? But we'll get into that. That's my favorite scene in the movie. My other favorite is that it predicted Brexit. 3 years, this is what's going to happen to me. I'm going to be loaded up on a bus. I'm going to be shot, put in a concentration camp, and at Trafalgar Square, or wherever they were. That was a weird spot for a concentration camp. It predicted a pandemic, a flu pandemic.
Yep, it did.
It's kind of crazy.
The coffee shop's blown up.
Yeah, coffee shop's blown up. Clive Owen is too cool to care.
Yep. Just ducks a little bit and then just gets on with life.
Yeah. I think he's one of the weak points in this film.
I'm glad you said that because
Yeah.
that's true.
He's okay. Here's what I was thinking throughout this movie. Any individual scene, he's good, you know?
Okay.
But I felt like he didn't give his character kind of like an arc. Where he see him from being kind of cool, nonchalant, non-caring. It doesn't really come across that other than his actions and what's in the script. But from his personality, it doesn't really come across his change, that he becomes a more caring person again.
I think the character is meant to be this kind of like really beaten down, weary kind of person that's just fed up with the world and doesn't really care. To me, it doesn't feel that way. It just feels like he's bored. It just feels like he's, tired and he'd like to go to bed.
Yeah, there's some highlights. There's one where he breaks down in tears. It's like, don't want people to see him, so he goes away in the woods. But yeah, it's not great.
No.
But he doesn't ruin the movie for me because he's kind of like a blank slate
Yeah.
that you put any kind of personality to. So it's not that bad, you know.
Yeah, I'd go with that. So now we see his commute. This is really good. And when I say, like, earlier, this film is amazing visually, it just is.
Yeah.
Start to finish. You don't need what's happening to the world described or thrown down your throat. It tells you. It tells you why stuff happening in the background.
Yeah, there's lots of good visual storytelling. We should shout out the cinematographer, Chivo.
Yep.
This is one of those movies, I use this phrase in Amadeus, every frame a painting.
Okay.
It looks so good. You can take any frame out, frame it, real life, frame it.
I'm going to go through this film again, find the worst frame there is. I want to find the frame where they've just drifted off into the fog.
Okay.
Just give you a picture of some fog.
Or the close-up on the birthing scene. Have that on your wall. I was wondering, did you not get annoyed by the constant shaky cam?
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
No,
it was
I
just
think-
good enough.
Yeah, I agree. Normally shaky cam bugs the F out of me.
Yeah.
But it was exactly how it's meant to be used. You don't need shaky cam for some big budget, high-end superhero fight.
Yeah.
That's stupid. But for like guerrilla shots of being in with the action, that's the point of it.
With the superhero stuff, it usually is an added camera shake post. And this one was just filmed with handhelds all the way through. Very close-up, personal.
And a surprising amount of CGI.
Yeah, it's pretty good CGI too.
CGI so good you don't notice it, which is rare these days.
Sometimes.
I never noticed it.
Wow.
No, the baby.
The baby.
The
I was
baby
exactly
was
thinking
very
of baby.
CGI.
But even that was pretty good. I was
Yeah.
thinking. It was blended in so well.
So yeah, throughout his journey, you get a lot of sense of kind of the world. You see him drive past like cages full of people that are being shipped off to somewhere else. You see adverts on the TV saying like, "Oh, the rest of the world has collapsed, but Britain soldiers on," trying to just gaslight people into believing that everything's good in the
Yeah.
country, but it's not. Boris Johnson.
I love this in sci-fi stories when like a lot of the exposition is like with adverts and that kind of stuff, and then you understand what's going on. Is Britain patriotism, nationalism going on. There's adverts where avoiding a sterilization test is a crime. There's adverts for a kill yourself pill. Quietus.
Quietus. Yeah, that was it. I was trying to think of the name of it.
Quietus. when you want to go away and not feel anything. There's one scene that stands out for me is they dressed up a train station where, yeah, there's the cages with the people in. Look like Watford Junction a bit, just with a bit more graffiti. 10% more graffiti. 10% more people in cages.
I think there's less people in cages in this film. By the way, if you're enjoying this episode, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And we also have a Patreon,
where for £1 or $1 a month, you can listen to bonus episodes that we do and also recommend us movies and join a great community of people. Patreon.com/IHateYourMovie. It's also in the description box. Check it out. Thank you very much. I kept thinking, does the immigration policy make sense?
No.
It never makes sense though.
No.
It's difficult, but surely you want new people to come into your country, people who can work. And I guess there's an example where they shoot an older person who's more useless, and then they keep the young ones. That's what I thought was going to happen. But no, they lock up everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's just what happens in real life as well.
It's a tactic of every government, every religious group in the history of things. You find someone to blame everything on.
Yeah.
And get the majority of your people to dislike those people.
Blame and fear.
Yeah. That's how it works.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me in this film, and it bugged the shit out of me for the whole thing, is that almost every immigrant in this film only speaks their native language, which is just not the case for the majority.
There are, going back to a little bit, there's also like newspapers and news sites that are shown. There's a lot of world on fire shit that we don't see. Mm-hmm. There's something like, they talk about like fallout in Africa.
Yeah.
Nuclear fallout. So it may be a result of like something more recent and people just had no time to learn English well and they just had to flee, you know?
He goes to visit Michael Caine hippie.
Michael Caine the hippie. This is what I mostly remembered from this movie. I forgot about the whole immigration thing. I forgot all that. I remember Michael Caine farting, people pulling his finger and he's farting. How can I forget? It was funny.
Yeah, he was funny.
I'd never seen him in such a role.
He based his performance on John Lennon, apparently.
Yeah, they look like him. Kind of an old John Lennon, yeah. Yeah, he's an old political cartoonist.
Yeah.
Very lefty, but also kind of switched off.
Yeah, he's driven himself out of the woods. I don't know if he's built the house out there or it's just that's where he lived, but he's closed off the road, put loads of trees and stuff in front of it.
There's a lot of like kind of confusing politics in this, and that's one of them. Which is, are you trying to say that it's so hopeless that even the very lefty, liberal, political cartoonist has given up? Or are you saying that they're not for real, or they not have real good intentions? They care about themselves? Because later on, there's supporting evidence for that too.
My thought about it was, because we haven't mentioned his wife, again, it doesn't tell you this in like exposition, you just read it in newspapers on the wall, that she was a journalist, I believe, and she was captured and tortured by the government, and now she's like completely mute and unmoving, and she's completely frozen basically. Yeah. So my assumption was that they were doing these things together. That happened to her, and he just took her away from the world to look after her. And then
yeah, that makes sense.
Clive Owen gets kidnapped by the Fishers.
Yeah, you know what I love about that kidnapping? Is that no one on the street cares. There's like business people walking by, they look at it and they just keep walking.
Yeah.
It's so bleak. It's so depressing. I love it.
So when he gets kidnapped, his hood gets taken off him. He's in a room that's like pasted with newspapers so he can't see in and out. And because they couldn't use actual newspapers, they had to make the newspapers, and they wrote all the stories for all the newspapers so they could print them and put them on the wall.
Wow.
That's cool.
That is a lot of dedication.
Makes you want to go back and freeze frame it and try and zoom in.
Yeah.
And see like what it says.
Here's my review for, no, what was in 2000. Here's my review for Shrek 2. They were just running out of ideas.
Although, to be fair, you have to kind of question that, you know, in 2027, the one thing they didn't really predict is like newspapers are dying. Do you reckon they'll be dead by 2027?
I mean, I don't know how they are still hanging around. I don't know who reads newspapers.
No.
I'm very confused. Even the old people that grew up on newspapers should have died out by now. What did you think of Julianne Moore?
I like Julianne Moore in most things.
Not in this. Because of the dialogue? Or?
I think the bit that really kind of made me cringe the most is the dialogue between Julianne Moore and Clive Owen. Oh, it's hard for me to look at you. He had your eyes. Those are the bits that kind of like, ugh. But most of it's just boring. There's like a thing between them where they're like, you came for the money, didn't you? Did I? I'm going to take a nap.
Aren't you already napping?
I think you'd have to watch it again. If you get a chance, go back, watch the scene between them two. And it is genuinely like two wooden blocks just sounding off against each other.
For me, the problem with Julianne Moore is that she is Julianne Moore. And I would have preferred someone new, someone who's not like Hollywood superstar, Julianne Moore. I'm glad she dies. Because I just see Julianne Moore. I don't see her character. If she can act her heart out, I'm gonna see Julianne Moore. And her name is Julianne. She didn't help things.
Whenever I think of Julianne Moore, I don't know why, but of all of the films she's been in, every excellent piece that she's done, I still see her character from the film Evolution.
Oh my god, that movie. Wow, that's an old VHS pick for me.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of the nicknames things got in this film?
The nicknames?
Yeah, like Fugees. For refugees.
Oh my god. All I could think of was the band The Fugees.
Me too. Me too.
Ready or not,
here I come.
Going back to maybe the dialogue was cringy for you. This was like a weird personal world building bit that she just kisses him and then whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really like that. It's like makes so much sense because there's no more children being born. People are a bit more flexible sexually, probably.
I suppose it was good from a character point of view. It felt like she was kind of giving him hope that they might be something.
I didn't get that at all. And I thought it wasn't a character thing. I thought it was world building.
Yeah, okay.
Where you go like, wow, people really don't give a shit anymore about anything. Even though they were like clearly broken up, they were really just comfortable with each other. And I felt this with almost all the characters. Them particular because they had a relationship before. But I felt like, yeah, everyone's kind of like giving up a lot of personal boundaries. He goes to the Tate Modern. There's a gate where all the rich people live inside. And it reminded me of that painting of the spring at the beach or summer at the beach. It's a famous painting. It's where all the rich people are just hanging around on the beach.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I was inspired by that because it looked almost exactly like that with like the kind of old school ladies with the umbrellas outside. And some of the imagery was a bit maybe too obvious, like the giant floating pig.
Yeah, what's that from?
It is from a Pink Floyd album.
Okay.
Where is Battersea Power Station?
Yep.
Which is now, I think, some sort of big government building, elitist building. And the Pink Floyd album has the power station and a big flying pig balloon.
Mm-hmm. I liked this bit because is it a giraffe they've got just wandering around?
Yeah, it's just it kind of goes crazy with the extravagance. And they just have a statue of David with a leg missing.
Yep, digitally,
which is 2006. Pretty good. And there's a tracking shot of it too. Fuck me. Yeah.
Back when people were given the time and money to actually do proper CGI.
Yeah. He has to get the papers, so he accepts a job for Julianne Moore, also known as Julianne, to escort someone from London to Brighton, who's a refugee.
You can't hide.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's time for question time. Let's take a break from the story for a bit.
There's too much story talk in this podcast. We're always too much on track. There's never any flexibility. We're always on topic.
If there's one thing people know about us, it's that we always stay on topic.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about Sex and the City. The world this is set in, obviously a world where no children are being born. Obviously, jokingly, I think that would be brilliant. Most of the time, kids should just fuck off. I don't want them. I've never wanted them. I think the film does a really good job of kind of explaining why. My question to you is, do you think this would be a realistic world reaction to not having any more kids. Because here's what I didn't understand. Especially when he's like getting the train home or in the woods where they get jumped by a bunch of people. Like, why is all of these people so angry that they're just attacking public transport? That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense that that's a logical thing people
But that was
would
a
do.
setup. Later on, they expand. That specific, there was a setup.
Oh, the woods one.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But why is it feasible that would happen? Like, I understand giving up and taking the suicide pills because you know, if people can't have kids, because a lot of people say the purpose of life is to have kids. Personally, I disagree, because that makes your purpose in life the same purpose as a dog or any other animal on the entire planet. And come on, we're human beings. We should be an elevated form of that. Come on, sort it out. Anyway, so I understand giving up, and I understand the scarcity of resources and that kind of stuff. But why would you be on the side of the road throwing rocks at a bus?
Because it's the kind of like an indirect consequence of the no child happening is this highly politicized world. And obviously the government has gone really fascist really quick, and people will always be pushing back against that.
Yeah, but like for the most part, I mean, I don't know if you just don't hear about it because the government-controlled news doesn't let people hear about it, but you'd shut that shit down pretty quickly.
Well,
The police in fascist governments don't let people on the street just stand there throwing rocks at buses.
I don't know, you can never have complete control, and I believe probably the government is also struggling to find manpower, policing, enforcement. I think you're right. I think a bigger percentage of people would just give up, and that's why there's the suicide pill and that kind of stuff. As for children, yes, immediately they are very annoying. It is a bit of a problem that all the dumbest people have the most children. But it would be scary if just no one would have children from now on. That would be a bit scary. Just for like a humanity, bigger picture kind of way. You know what I mean? Just like, you want humanity to go along in the universe, right? Do you?
I mean, if it doesn't, then the universe will carry on. The planet will heal, and most life on the planet will be much improved.
But it's a nice idea to go humanity go.
Mm.
No? I mean, I hope at the same time we improve. But I wouldn't want us to die out, even with this kind of belief system that we got and kind of morality. Do you want humanity to die out?
I could take it or leave it.
Yeah, so they meet the girl Key,
Yeah.
who I wish we put on subtitles. She had like, blood and not slang, but it's a dialect.
Didn't notice it.
Like Bumba Club. It is, I had a hard time understanding her too.
No one has ever sounded more white than you saying
Bumba Club. Let's talk about the ambush scene.
Let's talk about ping pong balls.
You know what? I was like, you fucking show off.
CGI.
Was it CGI?
I would say that's CGI. If I had to pick, apart from the baby, if I had to pick one moment in this film that's definitely CGI, it's that ping pong ball.
I was thinking, what a fucking show off. You're gonna start your long uncut scene, a long one take, with people spitting ping pong balls into someone else's mouth and back, just to let's see what I can do. It's like that's why it came across to me like, oh my god, this is one of my favorite scenes in movies ever.
This is only the second long shot of the film, right?
Yeah, but it's not the length. So there's 3 long shots. I think this is the most impressive one, to the point that it's kind of has the Up effect of, Up, the Pixar movie.
Dude.
Where it's like everyone remembers the first 10 minutes and no one remembers what's after that because the first 10 minutes is so good. It has the effect. Before we watched this movie, I could not remember anything about this movie but that scene.
And Michael Caine.
And Michael Caine farting. The other 2 long scenes, one is the birthing scene, and that's kind of like a stationary shot.
Yeah.
That's not very interesting.
That's like a one shot, but kind of like straight out of a play.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, it just doesn't stand out. And the other one, which is a longer and supposed to be more impressive, ending with all the explosions going on and shit. To me, that's less impressive because he's sneaking around and he doesn't really interact with the world. And in this one, he interacts greatly. Like, it's like almost like a ballet. It's like everything has to go right. So what happens? They start with a ping pong balls and then they get ambushed. So they have to drive backwards. This is all one take. And the camera...
Wow.
I'll get into it.
Okay.
And the camera is like in the middle of the car, going back, forward, you know, focusing on different characters. This is in 2006. There were not any digital cameras that were tiny, like now is an atom length, you know. It was a giant camera still.
Do you know what they did to do that?
I know, it's incredible.
I tell the audience.
I will. So they rigged up a car where, first of all, it was someone else driving it. It was on the front of the car. They built this like little panel, and there's a person driving it, and they didn't like paint him out digitally. You just can't see him because the camera is too high up. They built this incredibly difficult rig of the seats were able to move out of the way. It's just crazy. Why would you do that? Just to make it really hard for yourself. But it's incredible. And there's hidden cuts.
Yep.
There's about 6 hidden cuts in it. Still incredible. And it's not the obvious hidden cuts of Extraction. Oh, for some reason, I'm going to point the camera to the wall and then back again. It's really hard to tell. It's so well done. It looks like a continuous, amazing shot with lots of things going on. There's a motorcycle chase where they have to get right that Clive Owen knocks the guy off the motorcycle. And meanwhile, the camera is just fucking spinning around, going left, right, center. It's amazing. And it is one of the first in this kind of way, where there's been like movies that were shot like plays. I would say this movie walked so Extraction can run.
Okay. What about, what was the film called? 19-something.
1917?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a better example. So that movie is definitely wouldn't happen without Children of Man like that. You know, it's the things that they were able to achieve is amazing. My favorite thing in it is the things you can't see. There's one hidden cut that confuses the fuck out of me because they're in the car, which is controlled by a guy you don't see. But at some point they just get out and it's just a normal car. I'm like, where's the fucking cut? I can't see it. The camera is slightly obscured when he opens the door.
Okay.
That maybe is so millisecond-ish.
Well, they used a lot of CGI in this as well. So
Yeah, they used the glass shattering and the fire.
Yeah.
That's obviously CGI.
I preferred the end one.
This one is more impressive to me because not only the camera has complete like 3D movement vision, but the characters interacting with other characters. And in the end one, he's just sneaking around, which is really still looks really good. But this is the more impressive one to me. And I brought this up in the Extraction 2 review. The camera, it moves around a bit, but it's somewhat stationary. It doesn't go from helicopter to train to, airliner, plane to boat. It mostly is kind of in a small place within characters, and you stay there, and it just has this incredibly realistic effect.
So now they get to the farm.
Yeah. She calls in Clive Owen to the cow's place, the cow's home. What is it called?
Barn.
The cow's house.
Cow house?
Yeah, where they live. The cows.
The very second that the key was introduced, my brain went, she's pregnant.
Well, yeah.
And then
What are you gonna do?
They do this whole rigmarole thing of like she goes from A to B, and like she's always kind of like got her arms folded, or she's got a cushion over her, or she's standing behind a cow.
She's making excuses that she ate too much. She's bloated.
And you see the same in like sitcoms as well, where like the characters have like giant bags.
Yeah.
It's taking the bins out.
They should have done a silhouette reveal, and then you go in and she's just holding like a giant bull in front of her belly. She's not actually pregnant. It's like an Austin Powers bit. So I know you don't like nudity.
I don't like unnecessary nudity.
I don't think it was unnecessary.
I'm okay with nudity because she's wearing a big flowy dress thing.
Yeah.
Lift it up.
Yeah.
Don't take the whole thing off.
Didn't you get some sort of artistic imagery from it, though?
I mean, I think they were trying to go for like, in a manger.
Yes. That's
Kind of.
exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
And it was in a manger, but it was like a fucked up manger, which is like this kind of milking cow factory setting, which is really interesting. And that's it.
I remember when I was in school and we made those, like, what were they called? The little...
Nativity scene.
Yeah, like the nativity scenes.
Yeah.
So when we were making them in school, what we always did, and the teacher always told us, when you're making Mary, you do her topless. Because that's, no, she doesn't need to be topless.
For me, this was artistic.
Okay.
This was saying something. She wasn't a supermodel.
No.
She wasn't like putting her boobs out. Like,
Arching.
Yeah.
No one iced her up beforehand.
Yeah. And she talks about like they cut the cow's tits off. This goes into a discussion. So the movie doesn't state it clearly. What do you think the cause of the no children are?
He actively avoided saying why this is because he doesn't want to. It reminds me of the TV series that I can never remember the name of. I got you to watch it and you didn't like it.
Utopia?
Utopia. Yeah.
I can't believe I remember that.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, so it reminds me of a TV show called Utopia where the government puts two different chemicals, one in everyone's water, I think it is, and one in like corn syrup.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is to make a certain percentage of the population infertile to try and reduce the population.
Mm-hmm. Are you on the government side on that? In that TV show?
Very much so. Hashtag Thanos was right. I would either say that would be my guess for people who are infertile, that they tried to do something for some people, but it got out of control and it was everyone.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I would say is just general like chemicals. Someone put a chemical in something that everybody uses and it's fucked everything up.
Yeah, I would say I'm with you on the latter one, because the very end of the movie we see kind of a devastated power plant in the distance. There's just a devastated kind of land, and there's like cows in trenches. Mm-hmm. And the camera pans around and you can see like a pipe just bursting out these chemicals. And during this scene, she talks about how they're mutilating cows because of some reason. Mm-hmm. And when they're fleeing, we can see like piles and piles of cows being burned. So I felt like something chemical cow human infertility. That kind of chain of events.
Mad cow's disease, which heavily influenced 28 Days Later. This stood out to me is when he's creeping around the house. He goes, I think he tries to go for a cigarette, and then he finds out that the Fishers leader was killed actually by the Fishers second in command to try and galvanize the group into doing what he wants them to do. And then, so he then goes and gets them, and then they go down to the car and they push the car down the hill. You were really laughing through that bit, by the way.
It was really funny. Did you find it funny?
No.
Because he kept like trying to start the car and there's just like a mob chasing him. It wasn't very like movie. You know what I mean? It's like, it wasn't like in a horror film where a car goes and then when the killer comes, either kills the person or that's when the car starts up.
Yeah.
No, it just kept going. It's like, oh, is it working now? No, push it more. It was like that.
If you'd have read in IMDb trivia, the car was actually meant to start on the first try, but they just kept going. You'd totally believe it.
Yeah, it was a bit comical. And he had no shoes on. That was also funny.
Oh.
You didn't like that?
Oh. Do you know what? One of my biggest pet peeves in the entire world is flip-flops. Oh.
That was funny, though. It's like, there's no shoes that fit him, so you just gotta get some flip-flops.
Oh, just how can people stand it? How can people stand walking around and all they hear is...
Yeah.
Oh, I just want to cut people's feet off when they're wearing them.
I heard that flip-flops are used in, like, porn Foley work.
Porn Foley?
Yeah, you know Foley work?
No.
It's like sound effects, basically. Yeah, that's what the... I can't do it, but it's like meat slapping. I heard that's the flip-flops most of the time.
That can't be true.
That's what I heard.
It's like the porn version of the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah.
So yeah, they go back to Michael Caine's house for a lovely picnic.
Michael Caine's house should be a sitcom. And it should be 5 Michael Caines. Hello, I'm Michael Caine.
Oh my god.
Each one of them have a different accent. Hello, I'm Michael Caine.
Coming this fall on CBS.
Michael Caine's house.
Michael Caine's house, followed by the Harkonnens. What happens at Michael Caine's house?
But he tells him to pull his finger and he farts.
Hmm. That was earlier as well, though.
Yeah, but it kept happening.
This is last words.
Yeah. That was also kind of bugging me because how does the terrorist group, how do they find Michael Caine's house? And then later on they find them in the fucking concentration camp.
Yeah.
That was a bit like, how? Like, it's so far removed. Maybe Michael Caine I can imagine because they use a car that's theirs.
No, it is explained how they find it
Is
at
it?
Michael Caine's house, yeah. I think it's at the start of the film, they ask him to do a job, and then it shows him, like, for his daily life, and he goes to visit Michael Caine. Then he does the job, and then it is explained a little bit before this, or as this is happening, that after they asked him to do the job, they were following him for days to see what he did, to make sure he didn't, like, turn on them.
Okay.
So they knew kind of like some places he might go.
Okay. How do they find him in the concentration camp then?
Nah, that doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't, no. But yeah, so they follow him to Michael Caine's house.
Yep.
There's 4 other Michael Caines. There's 70s Michael Caine with like a big glasses. There's Peter Serafinovich playing Michael Caine as well. He has a great Michael Caine impression. And Michael Caine. How many times did I say Michael Caine? Michael Caine.
Yes, so bad. That one sounded like Donald Duck.
Michael Caine. I don't know how to do it. I admit I don't know how to do it. Come on, you do it then.
Absolutely not.
Okay. I don't mind embarrassing myself for the podcast.
The only line I know it's actual Michael Caine is like, "You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off."
What's that from?
From Italian Job. That was a spot on Michael Caine impression, by the way.
They keep on going. I love the setting of an abandoned school.
Yeah.
That was like, just again, you don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
You just see what
until that scene, I hadn't even thought about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. You might say this is a stretch, but there's like in the playground area of the school, there's dinosaurs. Like, are they saying like?
Nah, that's just what was in the school. They
I like the thing.
hired.
I like the thing that was about extinction. Michael Caine killed the dinosaurs. Here I am, Michael Caine. I'm going to kill the dinosaurs.
It's so bad.
I know. This well, keep doing it. Some people just want to watch the world burn.
That was better.
I'm getting there. Some people. It's somewhere between those two.
No, he just sounded like Kermit.
He was in the Muppet Christmas Carol.
He was. Not as Kermit.
No.
Okay, let's talk about their plan to break into prison.
To break into a concentration camp, to break out of a concentration camp.
Yeah. From the very beginning of this plan, my head went, surely if there was a way to break out of the prison, someone else would have done it by now.
It felt like a place where people made it their home.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was more beneficial to them to instead establish this smuggling kind of route.
Okay.
The plan itself was a bit dodgy. You're gonna break into Auschwitz. To break out of Auschwitz,
Yeah.
surely the quickest point between 2 points is straight and not
Where
wobbly.
they're going is out to sea as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know the sea very well, but you don't have to go to the nearest point in land. You can go around.
Yeah. And also when they were getting into the concentration camps, there's a lot of lucky accidents. Like she's breaking water.
Mm-hmm.
And Clive Owen is going the universal language for shit and piss, which is caca. He goes caca, caca, this caca.
What?
That's poo in
I know what you're saying, but I don't remember this part of the
You
film.
don't remember?
I don't remember
He was
saying
trying to do an accent
Okay.
because he can't just be like, "Hey, I'm Clive Owen." I sound like Michael Caine. Well, I'm Clive Owen.
You've got too much emotion for Clive Owen.
Uh,
You have to be a guy like this all the time.
I'm Clive
I'm
Owen.
Clive Owen.
I sound like
Oh,
Michael
Clive
Caine.
Owen. Oh, I'm going to go to the shops and get a coffee. Oh, no. Now I'm being attacked by a rogue terrorist organisation. Now I'm in a war zone. I always sound the same.
Yeah, so... what was I forgot what one point was.
I didn't understand why they had stopped to just pick random people off the bus.
That's why I was thinking that they picking out the old people and just straight up kill them.
Okay.
Because they're useless
Mm-hmm.
in this society. That was my idea.
But then why would they take Key?
Oh.
So that makes no sense why they would take her. Also, side note, they took the hippie midwife lady away. Awesome. Because she was just annoying.
She was annoying, but she was supposed to be annoying, I think.
Yeah. She had a really good, like, monologue about, because she used to be a midwife and
Yeah.
how the babies stopped coming. And
Yeah.
that was an important scene. And
Mhm.
that was the only time I felt that she was particularly necessary in any way.
Mhm.
And they did well to write her out for the final act.
Mhm. So what do you think? Is this what my future looks like? I'm going to be taken away in a bus, in a double-decker that's enforced.
I mean, we can only hope.
I'm Michael Caine. I'm on a bus. I'm an immigrant. I'm Michael Caine.
Hi, Michael Caine. I'm Clive Owen. I'm on a bus now.
Pull my finger.
I pulled your finger. That was the
I
most,
farted. Ha 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 ha. I'm Michael Caine.
that was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. I'm Clive Owen.
I'm Michael Caine. Tune in to our next show, live show. Michael Caine and Clive Owen. Tickets are on sale right now. And then, yeah, we get into the very multicultural concentration camp. Did you understand any of the Romanian?
I didn't. I recognized it as Romanian,
Yeah,
but
me
I
too.
didn't understand much of it.
Yeah.
I think I got like a number or two in there somewhere, and there was some swear words in there. So
It was the funny bit in IMDb trivia. Some people in the background is being heard saying XYZ in Romanian, which means get down, get down. Like, you can probably understand that from context. Yeah.
this bit particularly is when like the woman that's helping them,
Marika.
Marika, is constantly speaking Romanian at
Yeah.
Clive Owen and Key, because they clearly don't understand what you're saying, why you keep talking,
Yeah.
what's the point of this,
I like
this
that.
happening.
This was a bit later, but when they were fleeing and there's like explosions going on there, they start doing charades. Boat.
Oh, yeah.
He throws a boat and she doesn't get it and he throws the water. It's like, oh, boat. That was hilarious.
Yeah,
It's
that
like
was
that
really
because
good.
there's like buildings in the background exploding and shit. It's like, let's stop and play charades.
My biggest problem with this whole thing, as she's like, her water's broken, she's about to give birth, like, why is no one questioning why she's in pain? Like, she's walking around like,
They do. They say, is she sick? What's wrong with her? 2 or 3 times.
yeah, but like, no one's like, oh, what's actually wrong with her? She's sick. No one's like,
I think that was a good world building thing as well, because no one's like, oh, she's having a baby, because people forgot what that's like.
mm-hmm.
So everyone's like, what's wrong with her? She's clearly having a baby, but like people haven't had a baby in 20 years almost. Does Michael Caine get pregnant? I'm Michael Caine. I'm pregnant. Pull my finger.
I'm Clive Owen. I'm having a baby. I'm in tremendous pain.
Why are you having a baby?
This is the most pain I've ever felt in my entire life.
I was having a baby. I want to have a baby. God damn it. I'm Michael Caine.
I have a question about this entire scene as well.
Yeah.
Like, Clive Owen seems like a man of action. He seems like he knows what he's doing. He's been part of, like...
Why doesn't he pick up a fucking gun?
Why doesn't he pick up a fucking gun
I know. I was
at
bugging
any
me too.
point to defend himself?
There was genuinely... There's a little snippet of a scene of him looking down at a soldier. His gun is just right there.
Yep.
And it just looks back at him. It just doesn't do anything.
Mhm.
Why not?
Yeah, why? And it's not mentioned any point in this film before that he's like this pacifist that
Yeah.
never wants to kill people. He's happy to kick a guy off a motorbike at 50 miles an hour.
That's his move.
He does it when they get attacked in the car with Julianne Moore, and he does it again
When they're fleeing.
driving away in the car that won't
So
start.
that's his move. He's a car door man. He doesn't know weapons. Are we in the last long scene?
Yep.
Fun fact about this scene, which I'm sure you read too, which is amazing. It took them 2 weeks of rehearsals to do this. It's him like running through explosions. A lot of it's CGI, but still.
Yep.
Lots of people, lots of extras. A woman's crying her heart out holding a dead guy.
Mm-hmm.
Animals, which is fucking crazy. You can't predict their behavior, not even with the animal behaviorist. So they did it, and the other thing where we're gonna try this a few times, and if it really doesn't work, it's really difficult, then we're gonna cut it up. We're not gonna do the long take. And then the last take they did, some of the fake blood got on the camera.
Yeah.
And the director shouted cut because he was not happy about that, but the explosion drowned out the cut, so they had to convince him at the end to use that scene. Most of the shot is like blood on the screen. It's really good.
And I think that's something that has been used since. Like a lot of things do that now, the kind of blood on the camera spurt thing.
Yeah, or Babylon with elephant shit.
Yeah.
I'm glad people convinced him because it looks really good, and it would have been a shame to throw away that shot.
This whole bit, this is the better one for me because it's just the technical ability involved to get the cameras from A to B and all these explosions and to get so many actors to perform so well for such an extended period of time.
Yeah, I was thinking about that guy the lady's holding. It's like, that guy can't breathe for an extended period of time. He has to look like glassy-eyed. You know, that's hard. And that woman holding her is like, has to give her the best crying scene ever. And this is like in the middle of this long take.
Yeah, I think in the car scene, you know, especially Clive Owen and Julianne Moore, you've got like professional actors that are doing most of the heavy lifting. In this, it's down to the extras.
Yeah.
And they just shine.
What you didn't see is Michael Caine played most of those.
I'm
Michael Caine. I'm an immigrant. Dibbly-bee. That's my immigrant accent in it. It's very shaky cam and everything.
Yep.
But you can tell it's deliberate because the long take ends with him finding Key with the baby and all the shakiness stops. It's just all precise from that moment on. And that's also hard because he's definitely a guy holding the camera. And then all of a sudden, going like, oh, what's going on? You have to go like, ugh, after like 6 minutes or whatever, you know, like really still. But so CGI baby.
CGI baby.
Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good, especially of its time.
Yeah.
My biggest problem with this whole thing, the whole war stops pretty much for a little while.
Yeah.
While they come out of the building and she's holding the baby. And everyone's like, oh my God, it's a baby. You let her through. There is no way that the army grunts in the middle of a war would believe that that baby was real.
Why not? How would you fake that in this?
I'd be like, no, it's a doll. You're immigrants and you're trying to survive, so you're trying to trick me into thinking you've got a baby.
I don't know.
Little rubber baby.
Rubber baby.
Squeeze it and it goes, wah. Squeeze it and it goes, I'm Clive Owen.
I'm Michael Caine. I'm a baby. Wah. Wah. That's what babies do. Wah.
But yeah, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it feels like that would have been something that people would have tried before.
Maybe. I don't know. To me, it felt right. Yeah, in the very short ceasefire that they have, that a baby crying is like shocking to people. Even if it's audio, people would go like, is that real? Oh my God. Or maybe they go like, I can't risk it not being real. The situation is so dire. What was interesting to me about that is earlier Clive Owen suggests to the terrorist group to go public.
Yep.
This scene kind of proves that he was right. Because he could have done this for the whole time. He could have just looked baby and just slowly walked to Brighton with like everyone they come across, look baby.
This scene did a really good job of making it like on a human level. I think the government would have taken it and be like, first baby born in England. England is okay now.
Here's an interesting bit that I kind of brought up earlier, and this is where the politics of the movie gets muddled to me, because they meet the old lady. It's a bit before this. That's when the movie goes a bit quiet, and then they meet the old lady, and then they show like a panning shot of her belongings, and she like clearly like part of the Communist Party. She has like a Lenin bit. She has all these awards, and they live in the bank. Did you notice that?
No.
They flee into the bank, and that's where this old lady is, who's rich within the concentration camp. or at least not rich, but living like a kind of luxury life compared to everyone else.
I vaguely remember this, and it was kind of like action, 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 slow, action, action, action. It seemed like a weird kind of like
Yeah.
stomp on the brakes.
If it was constant action, it could have gone tiresome. It's good that was a break. I just don't understand the politics. Like, what are they saying? Why does the old lady who's communist live in the bank, the unused bank? Why?
She lives in the bank because it's the safest building. She is just ruthless.
Why
It
are they
doesn't matter what her
doing a
beliefs
panning camera shot of her Lenin statues and shit? What does that say? I mean, I genuinely don't know.
are. No, I don't know either.
Is it like some sort of pathetic attempt to do some centrism? Look, the other side is bad. It kind of rings hollow after all that we've seen, you know?
Everyone is bad. That's the point.
I guess so. They made it out
They do.
to the water and the human project is real. I thought that was a bit hokey that the ship was called Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It should be called the sequel. Children of Man 2. This time it's personal.
Children of Men too. Pull my finger.
I'm here on the boat. I'm here on the Tomorrow boat. I'm Michael Caine. I can never die.
Clive Owen does. I'm dying. I've been shot. This pain is excruciating, but I'm gonna die now.
Oh well.
Yeah, because that's kind of what I got from his death. It's just okay.
So this movie was based on a book.
Yep.
But the director didn't read the book, and he just read a summary and a plot synopsis. That's why adaptations are so tricky, because how close do you want to get to the book? What do you want to change? The best way to do it, I think, is this, because you read what mostly is about, and then you come up with your own interpretation of it. And the people who said, "Oh, it's not like the book," they can't learn, because it's not going to be anything like the book, because they didn't even try to achieve like a correct adaptation.
Mm-hmm. As long as everyone in that chain is very talented, that works.
Sure. Yeah.
Because if you have a really excellent book that's the synopsis and the treatment is done by a moron, who then that's picked up by a director, then you've got nothing in common with any of them. What you've got then is a great book and a shit film.
Yeah. So, Children of Men,
Children of Men.
how would you rate it?
To be honest, if you made like the first 20 minutes, the first act better, this would be up there, man. This would be like an 8, but because of that, it's like a 7 or even a 6 maybe.
Because you never rate anything above 6. Only Amadeus, which I told you, because you never rate anything for 6, so you rated it 7. I'm trying to find that good one, you know? I'm trying to find the one you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would give it an 8.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. It's not one of my personal favorites, because it's just too bleak for my taste. It's very humorless, except the Michael Caine pull my finger. It's just very bleak and dark. I praise the cinematography. He uses a lot of natural light, and what he does is that he goes like, oh, when you see like a set lit that's already fake in people's head. I don't really agree with them, because what happens if you don't light it, it's gonna look like this. It's muddy, murky, grey. Some colour would have been nice.
I think that's in tone with the film.
It is, but it's just not fun to watch for me, specifically. 8, not one of my personal favourites, but one of the best movies we've done on the podcast for sure.
Okay.
So, what's next?
What's the next Brit-Pocalypse film?
Yeah.
I don't have any more Brit-Pocalypse films.
What, is there any more?
Shaun of the Dead.
Only Fools and Horses, the movie. What's next?
What's next? Okay. So, it's a film I think we've spoken about before. I'm not sure if it's on the podcast. I'm incredibly concerned about how we're going to talk about it for any kind of time, because it's not a film where much happens at all.
Okay.
It's the coming of age drama that almost earned Paul Mescal his first Oscar. It's Aftersun. It's a very understated film. It's basically just about a dad and his kid.
Is it like a slice of life?
Yeah, it's about a dad and his kid, and they go on holiday. That's the entire plot.
Well, I could use an easy to edit episode after the 2-hour discussion of this and 28 days later.
I watched this film in the cinema. I can't remember why I went to go see it. It was very heavily praised by loads of different reviewers. And it's not the kind of film that I would normally watch. And I sat there kind of enjoying it, but at the same time, just kind of like, you know, if I was at home, I'd probably be on my phone more often than not. And then in the last 5-10 minutes of this film, everything just kind of clicked for me. But not because of the film. It was because it just all of a sudden related to me very personally.
Okay. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for listening.
This is Michael Caine.
This is Clive Owen. I've been absolutely excited and exhilarated for you to be here, as you can tell in my tone of voice.
Pull my finger. Clive Owen.